Welcome, everyone. As always, I am delighted and excited to be here. I was trying to think beforehand as to what I wanted to share with you today. And I was thinking about something that I shared in a group earlier. And that was you can begin your day with intuitive queries, meaning you don't have to go to a psychic, you don't have to go to someone who specializes in the expertise of understanding the metaphysics and intuition. You yourself have intuitive abilities. I'm sure at some point you had that inkling about, you thought about someone, and then all of a sudden the phone rang and it was them. Or you had hoped that something would fall into place and it seemed to magically fall into place, even though it was something that you would never normally think about. These are, some people like to say, intuitive hits. I think a better term is inklings. And everybody has that ability. But you can magnify that by asking yourself questions, beginning with the morning, as in, I'd like to know, what is it that I can do to really get to my goals? Or how would I benefit as well as help others today? Now, I'm just giving kind of a brief idea, but it comes down to you thinking in terms in respect to what it is that you desire for you. For instance, within your business, if your desire is to maximize and impact, then pose a question about that. Just simply get quiet for a moment. Don't be running around with the dog and the cats and the birds, and you can tell I'm an animal person, right? But make sure the kids aren't in the room screaming and the TV's not on, and just sit for a moment and go, and then pose your question. You can ask it out loud or you can ask it within. And then just allow whatever shows up to show up. Hear it, listen to it, even if it seems something preposterous. So, for instance, if you say, what is the best way for me to make connections today? And you're thinking you're supposed to go to a business meeting, or perhaps you're going to a mommy and me play opportunity. And you hear in your head, go to the beach. You're thinking, what? Why would I go to the beach? I have this meeting I'm supposed to be at. Just allow yourself to listen because there's guidance there. Try it. I think you'll be happy you did. All right, we have Linda from Winnipeg. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Did you have a specific question for this evening?
Yes, I want to know if I have a future with the person I'm seeing right now, if it's going to go anywhere.
Okay, I got a gulp in my throat there, visible gulp. Oh, I would love to say absolutely yes. However, the feeling is it's very tentative right now, not on your end, on their end. And the word space comes to mind as if there needs to be some space created between the two of you to allow them to recognize that there is something they see and that it can blossom into something versus there being something that they thought they saw and feeling overwhelmed. Because that's the sense that I'm getting, that they are feeling overwhelmed. Have they said anything to you about that? Because it really is that sense of like, oh my gosh, there's just so much.
It's possible, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that almost.
Allow yourself to say to them whatever you need to say, but do it from the perspective of, I enjoy our time together. I find that I smile more when we chat. Think in terms of the things that you have done so far, even if it's limited to just conversations. What is it about the conversation that makes you feel good? Share that versus I'm looking towards the future and I would need to know information right now. Now, asking me is fine, obviously, but you want to kind of give them, again, the word space comes in, them a little space and time to really assimilate what they're feeling. Because again, I come back to a sense of overwhelm with feelings, overwhelmed with what's going on in their world and their responsibilities. I get that February is actually going to be a better month for you and that this individual is still there in your world, though it has to be taken a bit slower than what it's been the last couple of weeks, even. I keep getting, I'm going to use the words pressure, overwhelm, um, not being
Okay.
able to be clear. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, it does. It does. It makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So if you're able to create a little space, like I said, and make the communication so that it's about the enjoyment and not about specific plans for your future, then they have a moment to actually assimilate how they're feeling. And then
Okay.
that opens the door to potential for more.
Okay. Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
All right. Thank you so much for calling this evening.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. What I was saying earlier before Linda phoned was that we have to listen to our own intuition. Please remember that. I'm happy to answer you, of course, though you have good instincts. Learn how to discern between an intellectual thought, a worrisome thought, and an intuitive thought, and you will find that life gets easier. I believe we have Melinda on the phone from Sydney.
Hi,
Hello.
how are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. Oh, I love your
Thank you
accent.
for this. I don't think I have one, but thank you.
Well, here in the US, to my ear at least, I hear an
Yeah,
accent.
exactly. And yours to mine also. Thank you for this blessing. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Do you have a specific area of focus for this evening?
I just think I'll leave it to the universe. There's too many questions I'd have, so hey, it'll only tell me, I suppose, what's most important, or if
Okay.
what comes through. Well, I'll leave it to you and your magic.
Okay, perfect. Now it's interesting because you're in Australia, but I keep hearing UK, UK, UK. Do you have some roots connected to the United Kingdom as far as like England and that general vicinity by any chance? Because I keep getting a pull towards that area. And if the answer is no,
No,
then there's something.
no.
Okay, then there's something that is going to come up here. I'd say pretty close because the way it feels, I'd say within the next 3-4 months, connected to the UK. I feel that it's something positive. And for some reason, the overall impression is somehow it's connected to your mom. And this could be that there's
Okay.
something rooted in her background that either hadn't been discussed or uh, is just coming to the surface and there's a conversation. But I get something again, kind of connected to the UK. Again, very positive. Just kind of keep it in the back of your head if you don't know exactly what that is. Okay, that's the first thing that
Sure.
pops up. The other thing that pops up is middle neck all the way down to upper middle back. There's some discomfort there, feeling as if, oh my gosh, it's the beginning of the new year and you're carrying too many things on your shoulders. Please
I
start
am.
saying,
That is very true. Yeah.
please start saying the word no once in a while. Yes, you may be an incredible person with superpowers to manifest all sorts of things and make things happen for other people. And you have a big heart and you want to make things happen. And yet, you got to save a little energy for you. So remember the word no. And it doesn't have to be no, I'm not interested. It has to be no, not in this moment. Or perhaps, no, I need to think about it. Or no, I'll get back to you. Just think about implementing the word no. It is important. Okay, I'm going to go back to the physical body for a minute. And I will preface that obviously I have no medical training. You just need to know what I'm picking up is sensory. And my experiences throughout the last 40, 50 years have been pretty accurate. Pay attention to any discomfort that seems to come up right underneath the breastbone or in the mirrored area around the back, because I keep getting something here.
I know what that is. Yes, definitely know what that is. It needs attention. Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
please follow through with that because it feels important. It shouldn't be put aside for everything and anything else.
Oh no, it's just the universe through, my car being written off, me having to move, and all this crazy stuff, and
Right.
I'm alone doing it. So, yeah.
So you're doing so much of it
I have
on
to
your
get it off, but it's coming. It's my priority. Yes, it is very uncomfortable.
Okay. So even with that, if you're going to have to lift things yourself, think about lifting closer to the body versus further out. I feel like that could be your saving grace there, as well as bend at your knees, not at your hips. You're putting too much
Yes.
pressure on the ways that I'm talking about. All right. And this is something that you can do at least until you give it proper attention, which could be actually getting
Yes.
checked from the doctor. As to your move, even though there's been strife connected to it, my heart tells me this is going to be good in the end. Even though, again, it feels
Yes.
like it's being done to you, it's actually being done for you. The universe wants you to be in a different position, where you are in more possession of what takes place in your world, where you have a bit more control of what's going on, where you can dictate better for yourself. So this move, even though again, it's arduous, it's strenuous, and it's like physically and emotionally, and yet when it's done, it's the right move. And I feel like there's been this whole debate in your head over feeling so stressed about having to do it and not feeling ready and not wanting to. And there's a lot of knots in there. But physical and emotional.
It's just every roadblock possible, I've gotten it, and now I'm on a timeline. It's sort of like if I don't get it the rest out, it's lost,
Right.
and I'm panicking, and it puts me in freeze mode, which does the opposite.
Have you yet called either the local church or synagogue and asked them for help, even if you are not a congregant? And if you
Yes.
haven't, it doesn't feel like you have, it would be a good idea to reach out. I feel as
Yeah.
if there are people that will volunteer that will help you, but you have to ask. And that's part of the problem. You want certain individuals to show up for you and they're not, which means you're not asking for help elsewhere.
Yep.
It puts you in a
That's
vulnerable
true.
position. Right. Please don't think that others are going to think poorly or that it's wrong to ask. It is not wrong. If you show the universe that you're willing to stand up for yourself, things get easier. So get
Okay.
as much done as you can, but please reach out and ask as well. If there is an organization, I don't know if there's something similar in your country, but there's something here called Women in Distress. Oftentimes it's about women that have been battered or abused. However, they have lots of resources for women. It may be if you have something comparable there that you could reach out to them and say, look, this is what I'm going through. I could use an assist. So these are things to consider, because waiting on the folks that you are waiting to see show up is not serving you.
No, definitely not.
This too is the universe's way of saying, please look at this. Be clear with what you're asking for. And with all of this taking place and the transition and stuff as far as income and wellness, oh my goodness, and family that you're considering, you have a lot, really a lot taking place. And yet so much of it goes back to what I said a moment ago, which was remember the word no, because right now, it really does have to be more about what serves you best until you make the move. Once you are fully out then you can breathe a little. Then you can
I'm
discern.
actually living the same scenario as I did 5 years ago to the date. Every single bit of it, from the car to the health to the 90-day notice, the way I've been delayed, and everything else that goes with it. Exactly the same scenario to the day.
Right. And when that happens, it's similar to when we have a dream during nighttime. Our minds are connected to the universe to give us messages, which is last time the moves that you made were not the best moves for you. This time you have an opportunity to make better choices. And this is why I go to saying no. This is why I go to please stop relying on people that are not reliable, not in this context, not in this way.
Mm-hmm.
It is better to ask for help from people you don't know who want to serve, who want to be generous with time and not be uncomfortable with that, because you do a lot for other people. You often say, oh, well, I'm gonna drop that, and you go and you help somebody else. It's okay to receive. And I feel like this is a big part of why you're going through this again. And as you said, like the same exact steps, it's the universe's way of saying, do it differently. Start putting you first.
Thank you.
All the things that aren't going as you would have liked, start looking at it from a different perspective. Instead of like, oh my God, how am I going to get this done? Stop, take a breath, and say to yourself, the universe is going to provide, and I am going to handle this with ease. You can get very specific with that. The universe is going to provide, and these 3 boxes that I cannot lift by myself are going to be taken care of. You see what I mean?
Yes.
As to the car also, it's funny with this because I feel like this is a push so that you let it go, which I know in your head you're like, no, but I need transportation. It's an idea of go again into a space of I'm going to have a car that runs well. I'm not, and leave out the not part, but the context of it again, the content is take the not in the sense of it does not become a part of your consciousness. It is not what you're putting out into the world. Instead, what you're putting out into the world is receiving what meets your needs.
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you very, very much. That is an absolute blessing you are. And thank you, universe, for sending you and having this opportunity.
Thank you. Really and truly shift it slightly in your head because you are a powerful creator. And again, this is just a message to do it differently so you can have things the way that you want them to do. So you can feel safe and secure and not be pushed to make another move until you're ready. All right.
This is so true because I'm just looking at a quote board that I have made out of fence palings. And it says, if you can imagine it, you can create it. If you dream it, you can become it.
And it's very true. The one codicil that I'll add to that is with the imagination, you have to get into the framework of believing that it's there for you, not believing that it's there somewhere out in the cosmos, but believing that it is there for you. And the more that you focus on it, the faster it comes. And again, I just feel like God and the universe are saying, come on, you are capable and you are a very strong creator, but you've been putting your energy into other situations and other people's attention versus on your own.
I'm adding to that quote, and at the end, can become it, believe it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
You're beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for this blessing. I really needed it. It's actually like taken a big weight off my shoulder, and I've taken a breath. Thank you.
And really, just a reminder that taking that breath and actually affirming that the universe is providing and thinking about your outcome that you want versus the stress that's involved. If you do that like once an hour, watch what happens. It becomes magical.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll give you a universal hug at the moment.
Oh, thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Take good
You've
care.
been a blessing. Thank you. You don't realize how much you've relieved me. I really appreciate you. Accurate. So accurate in what I'm feeling and doing and going through. And yes, you're correct in every possible way. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Take good care. It's going to be good. Just keep your mindset in the right place.
You're the beginning of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Have a great night,
Lots
hon.
of love and hugs. You too. Blessings.
You as well. All right, then. We really have to focus more on the fact that we all have, I'm going to say, supernatural abilities. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, come on, supernatural. That's kind of pushing it. And yet it's true. Just think in terms of the human body. We know, for instance, that a baby takes a certain period of time to develop in the mother's womb. And we know the process that it goes through to be born. And yet we don't really know what the trigger is. We could approximate, for instance, that the baby will be delivered naturally in X number of months, and then all of a sudden it comes 3 weeks early, or it comes 2 weeks late. We don't know what we don't know. We hear all the time about we use such a minute percent of our consciousness. What if we use more? And that simply means being able to connect with those gifts that we have. Let go of what we think we know, or letting go, of what we think we know based on the structure, the box that we've been neatly put into from the time we're little. You know, don't do this, don't do that. Or you hear how often, oh, come on, that's not going to happen. Other people's perception does not have to be your perception. And what that means is if you hear something, if you see something, and your first thought is, really? Or why? Or I don't like that. Then immediately come up with something that you do like. For instance, I heard the other day, peanut butter is really bad for you. Most peanut butter has mold in it. I thought, really? I love peanut butter chocolate ice cream. I do. It's my go-to. Either straight chocolate with everything. You know, even chocolate bacon is good. Or peanut butter ice cream just makes me happy. And the thought of saying, I'm never going to eat it again because somebody found scientific evidence that most peanut butter, not peanut butter specifically with ice cream, but peanut butter has mold in it. I would rather sit with it and bless it and invoke a clearing from the divine and ask God and the angels and the universe at large to make this something that I can enjoy. We can do that with everything, not just food. If you're seeing something and it's creating discomfort, the more you focus on it, the more it expands. And science has, in fact, said this is true, that the more we focus on it, the more it expands. What do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on hearing your intuition better and being guided on a daily basis to have more joy, to have more fulfillment, to know that when somebody says something to you, it is really true or it is not? Or do we want to just keep going around and around and around going, I heard that it must be true? Learn how to check in with yourself. There is a higher power. There is something divine that we are connected to. You have the capacity to utilize that resource. We're never separate from it. Every religion, to some degree, talks about us being brothers and sisters. And when I was younger, I used to think, really, that's ridiculous. We all come from different parents. Okay, yes, we all hear, that God is our father, or goddess is mother, or God and goddess, and the idea that there are these divine parents, right, that we are supposed to abide by. And that's a really nice thought. And then we say, but we have these physical parents. So what does that mean? It simply means that we're all interconnected at a higher level. Our consciousness is actually divine. When we talk about mind, it's not just brain power. Brain power is important, but mind is consciousness, and it's the brain working in tandem. It's superconscious or higher consciousness that we connect to, which has to do with the right hemisphere of our brain, that part that is creative, that part that's open to the abstract. Because divine information is not understood by the analytical part of our mind. That left hemisphere is about linear thought. It's about things that are concrete and structured and tough. The right side is about more gentility and, again, abstract and music and sweetness. If we learn how to bring the two together, we have the ability to shine in ways that we never thought. Listening to divine inspiration, even when we think it's absurd, always turns out right. It's getting clear and understanding what is, again, intellectual thought, as I mentioned earlier, or worrisome thought, as in the word fear, false evidence appearing real, or thought that is divinely ordained, that connects us with our source, that connects us with that Godhead, with the universe. Each of us come to this world empowered. Each of us come to this world with magic. And I use the word magic not as in pulling a hat out and then a rabbit and a magic wand. I'm talking about the magic of science, the magic of creation, the magic of quantum physics and blessings and spirituality and prayer. They're all interconnected, and they all reside within the microcosm of our mind, our consciousness, our brain, and believe it or not, even in the palm of our hands. This is how people are able to do palmistry. They take a look at the lines in the palms of your hand and relate it to what's out there in the cosmos. Know that you're special. Know that you are gifted. Know that taking a few moments to breathe and get quiet and just asking questions can change your whole world. If you get a chance, pick up my book, Treasures Within, Meditation with a Friend. My friend John Castighini and I wrote the book way back in 2021. You'll find that there's a lot of exercises in there that really can help you master what's taking place in your world. And if you'd like to reach me, do so at 561-755-2166. I'll be happy to get back to you. I hope you enjoyed this evening and you have a beautiful, blessed night.